is this is essentially I help self-doubting entrepreneurs and individuals who think that they're not good enough
Okay.
to actually escape from the mindset of uncertainty.
Hmm.
Right. And I use what I call a proprietary ARC method,
Okay.
so that they discover the true power of mindset
Hmm.
and restore their inner worth.
Okay.
Because I think this is where essentially where it very much boils down to.
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stephenson, the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, where we empower you to live your most audacious life ever. I'm thrilled that we can share this space together and deeply appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. Here we delve into inspiring stories and actionable insights to help you embrace life's journey with courage and enthusiasm. Think of your mindset as a sail on a ship, navigating through life's unpredictable seas. With the right mindset, you can adjust your sail to harness the winds of change, turning potential storms into opportunities for growth and adventure. Ken Attard is a seasoned mindset consultant based in Malta who specializes in helping entrepreneurs break free from self-doubt and uncertainty. With over 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur himself, Ken brings a wealth of personal development knowledge and practical insights to his coaching. Now, in this episode, Ken shares his expertise on the transformative power of mindset, particularly during life's perceived lows. His unique ARC method helps individuals discover their inner worth and harness the potential within setbacks. So now that we've got the table set and ready to go, let's jump into our conversation with Ken. Enjoy. Hey, Ken, thank you for joining me here today on the Audacious Living Podcast. It is a pleasure to have you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for making the time to do this.
My absolute pleasure, and I'm looking forward to our conversation and being able to add some value to your listeners.
Yeah, no, for sure. I do appreciate that. I was saying earlier that this is, very much allows me to sort of further my own personal mission of, encouraging that audacious spirit that I know exists in every single one of us. And so, again, your presence here is truly, truly appreciated. Here on this podcast, we spend much time, again, encouraging individuals to live their best audacious life. And I think there are times. And I kind of use an analogy of a pathway, like it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
Life is a continual journey, hills and valleys and ups and downs, and so it's so important to understand that on that journey that we're on, that we'll sometimes have dips, right? And we'll sometimes have moments of
Mhm.
adversity, and we'll sometimes have challenges, but conversely, we'll also have joy and fulfillment and happiness, and all can coexist in life. And I think that's an important thing to understand, and it'll tie into sort of your work as a mindset coach, because um, we'll go through things, and it's so important to understand that they're for the moment. They're not forever, right? And I know in the midst of it, it's really hard to be able to think it won't be forever because it's painful, it hurts, it's uncomfortable, but they're not forever. And it's a mindset shift that needs to happen for us to understand that and weather the storm, if you will. So yeah, I want to give you an opportunity, maybe as a starting point, give yourself an opportunity to introduce yourself to our listeners and explain a little bit about your work, and perhaps let us know kind of what got you to this point that you're at now.
Absolutely. So I'm liking what you're saying, without a doubt, and it ties in very much to with what I'm all about, what I teach. As I've said to you, said I'm a mindset consultant. And I like to say whoop-de-doo-doo and all those accolades. What does that? That doesn't mean anything to anybody who's listening at this point in time. But what it potentially could mean is this: is essentially I help self-doubting entrepreneurs and individuals, who think that they're not good enough
Okay.
to actually, escape from the mindset of uncertainty,
Mhm.
right? And I use what I call a proprietary ARC method,
Okay.
so that they discover the true power of mindset
Mhm.
and restore their inner worth.
Okay.
Because I think this is where essentially where it very much boils down to. How did I get into this work? Many moons ago, I got involved in network marketing, or multi-level marketing, as
Yeah.
people know it.
Yeah.
And that's where I was introduced more or less to personal development. As I think happens to many who get involved in network marketing, personal development tends to be something that is part and parcel with network marketing. And I began to read some books. I began to listen to speakers, and I got very intrigued. I got very intrigued because I was learning some stuff when it came to mindset that I'll be honest. One of the first things I said was, how come they don't teach us any of this stuff in school?
Yes.
As I'm sure many do. And it was an inspiration to me to continue. I mean, the nature of the business, I was getting in front of groups of people. I felt very comfortable speaking in front of people. I had no problem with that. And one thing led to another. And I've, over the course of the last 20 years, I've continued to delve into personal development. I continue to learn. I continue to learn to this day because
Yeah.
it is a journey, like you said.
Mhm.
And one of the things, and it's brought me to where I am today. Now, in the meantime, let's make something clear as well. I work mostly with entrepreneurs because I've been an entrepreneur myself as well for over 20 years plus as well.
Mhm.
And I truly understand how, that entrepreneurial journey can have those trials, those tribulations, and you were talking about the dips and the, and the troughs as well. Like, like you said,
Yes.
the highs.
Sure.
And what's really interesting is and I think is essential for entrepreneurs to understand, and this is where mindset truly comes in, is that it's during those lows, and let's call them lows, because in actual fact, I don't believe that they are lows. Like you rightly said as well, the word that I like to put in there many times is they appear to be lows. And they only appear to be lows because you don't have the full picture.
Right.
You still don't have the full picture. You're not seeing everything that is falling into place exactly the way it's meant to fall into place. And the only reason that you can't see it all is because neither you or I or anybody listening at this point in time is omnipotent yet.
No.
And can't really, fathom, like you said, it appears to be really difficult. Like, why are these things happening to me? And then just flipping a word and saying, why are these things happening for me? Now, and saying, okay, what can I learn from this? How could this potentially be a catalyst forward for me and what's to come? And this is where belief systems start to come into place. What you truly believe. One of the things that comes to the forefront for me nowadays more than ever is, saying that everything is always working out for me,
Yep.
irregardless of what is happening,
Yep.
even when it appears to be that low. Yet it actually is working out,
Yep.
and you can look back on it. I can look back on my life over the course of years. I was born in Toronto, Canada. Today I live on an island that today I live on an island that's 120 square miles, bang in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. I could have looked at that. I moved here when I was 14.
Wow.
And it was a pretty smooth transition for the most part. So
Yeah.
my parents are both Maltese. I was very aware of Malta. I visited Malta many times over the years for a vacation. In
Sure.
fact, at 14, I thought I was going on a permanent vacation. Little did I realize I'd be hanging up my skates.
That's
I
funny.
was an avid hockey player, man. Like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
right? And I moved to an
What
island.
part of Toronto did you live in?
I lived there close to Etobicoke,
Oh, yeah.
Fincham,
Like,
Weston, close to there.
right.
As I understand it, which was okay at that time. Now I'm not sure. It seems to
Yeah,
me I've been told it's a little more dodgy now. But hey,
it's gone through this up and down. That's my neck of the woods. So I get it.
yeah. I actually visited probably about 5 years ago. I think of that, and you know what? I went through the area, and I said, no, not as horrible as people made it out to be. But anyways,
Yeah, we digress.
yeah. So like, yeah, I was an avid hockey, and I moved to an island, no ice, like I said, and
Yeah.
not only that, we're talking about me moving in 1979.
Wow.
So there was no internet. Like
Yeah.
I missed the whole era of
Yeah.
ice hockey.
Yeah.
Apologies for adding the ice. It's
No.
my European thing now, right? I have to
okay,
add it
okay.
because people don't get, you can't just say hockey. They're like, what hockey are we talking about?
Yeah.
Anyways, so, I missed the whole era, and like now I'm back into the swing of things for the most part. Um, but that was a great lesson and it's something that I think is, and it's actually one of the pillars of my ARC method that I mentioned,
Mhm.
is understanding about adapting, which is all about change and embracing change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. The quicker you can learn to embrace change, the easier you're actually going to make it on yourself.
Yeah.
The easier you're going to make it. So because there's a certain element, there'll be a certain element of acceptance. And then, okay, now what's the next step? Rather than getting stuck in that, but I wish I could be doing this, or I could be doing this, and just holding yourself stuck. And it's amazing how many entrepreneurs will actually allow themselves to be trapped,
Right.
because they get trapped in that stuckness.
Yep.
Just because something's changed. And
Yep.
it's a hard pill to swallow for some people. And you know what? I'm going to break it to you right now. Change is going to happen.
Oh, absolutely. Ken, I mean, and it's funny because there's a part of this where, now, to a certain degree, I can understand the stuckness, or the stuckness rather, because
Yeah.
perhaps you are in a cycle where your life is good, business is good, things are well. We want the good times to last forever, right? And so when they stop, I get it why it's like, oh my gosh, like, because there's
Yeah.
in some instances we're emotionally connected to whatever is happening for us, and then it
Yeah.
stops, it changes. There's a need to pivot or adapt to something else, and we're like, but wait a second. There's almost a bit of a grieving period, a little bit too, right? Because of that connection.
It's true. It's true. It really is like a grieving period, and you go through that. So you're going to go into your denial. You're going to go into your anger, and yet when you come to that acceptance, it starts to make it so much easier, because then it will allow you to actually start to look for the solutions. Because this is where the stuckness happens. Is the focus. The focus remains on the problem.
Yes.
And as long as you keep on looking at the problem, you're just going to create more of that problem. And the other cool part that is really essential in this, when you say that stuckness and that, whatever it is, the anger, the denial and all of that, now it's about actually recognizing, what if you could actually be joyful even through those challenging moments? And when you begin to learn how to actually do that, and actually can do that, then I'd say we're starting to tap into what I would call real success.
Right.
Because opportunities will be there. Cycles happen in business.
Sure,
cycles happen in life.
Yes.
And those downfalls, those low moments are actually what I like to call growth spurts.
That's right.
And you may look back on your life and may notice, and again, depending, right? Because if you've decided to, let's say, and I say this with the most humbleness and respectfulness to anybody, if you've decided to play the victim card, then potentially your lows, you're gonna be riding some lows for quite some time, or continue to perpetuate those lows simply because you're playing that victim card. Yet when you start to shift that mindset and start to realize, okay, this appears to be a low moment. What can I learn from this? How can I adapt? How can I pivot? How can I make some changes? What's the next step? And all of a sudden that lows begins to rise again. Over the course of time, you're going to notice that your new lows were your old highs.
That's it.
Right? And it's just a continuous progress. And this is what is so key in the journey. Now, and again, it's such a cliche. It is such a cliche, the cliche of all cliches. How many times have we heard, you got to enjoy the journey?
Yes.
It's the cliche. Yet
Yeah.
It is nowadays, I truly believe it is a profound truth
Mhm.
that when you can actually enjoy the journey, and that's all you really need to do,
Yes. Yeah.
and not get lost in what you think is the end result,
That's right. That's right. That's right.
because the end result, non-existent.
I would throw in as part of enjoy is appreciation and gratitude. I kind of hitch those
Absolutely.
that wagon, if you will, because and in fact, I also believe that when you have that appreciation, gratitude, those elements to again added to that joy wagon, that actually perpetuates and it
Without a
continues,
doubt.
right? So again, the more gratuitous you are and thankful and appreciative of what you have, it'll continue to roll your way. And it's interesting, even in my own life, every time I like to do gratitude, journals, and I'll
Yeah.
say, hey, what 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 things that you appreciate today. And when I stop doing that, life's or whatever is happening, I get caught up. I can see a difference. I truly can, and I've got to bring myself back and go, okay, just slow down and let's revisit
Yeah.
it. And then when I pick it back up again, I start to see a change. I start to see a difference. So I would add that to it. The other thing I wanted to comment on is I'm a really big fan of that looking back, right, and sort of connecting the dots, if you will.
Hmm.
There's an expression I've probably said a million one times on this podcast is that life when we live it forward, it's an art. But when you look back, it's a science, and you can see that I had to do this to go here, and I had to go there to do this, and I had to have this downfall for me to learn this. And then once I learned that, I had to go here, and I had to have this setback to meet this person. So it all is connected.
It's
And so
all
when,
connected.
so when we talk about that journey, it really is an appreciation for all you have. And to your point, what is this doing for me is the question.
Absolutely. And 100%. And the looking back part that you're mentioning, I think it's important for, as long as when you're looking back, it's tied in with you feeling good,
Mm-hmm.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Like an
Yet, yeah, and which
analogy,
is what
right?
you do, which is what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah,
Yet there are many who look back, and will say something to, oh man, if only this had happened,
yeah,
or
yeah.
if only this had, and they start to go to regret, and they start to
Yes,
go to,
yes.
and go to blame, and because, and all of these things. Now that's not making you feel good. So I'll make that. So that is unresourceful.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
definitely unresourceful.
yeah.
Yet, and
Yeah,
the cool thing, yeah, and because I just wanted to make that clear for someone who's
yep.
listening, going back and they're going, oh yeah, but if my dad didn't do that to me, this wouldn't have happened, or
Right. Yeah, yeah.
whatever, and
Not
all that,
not
and they
not
can
from a
go into
place
the
of
spin.
regret. Yeah, not from a
Yeah, right.
place
They
of
can go
regret.
into the
So,
speak. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So and also, so what's really cool and tied when with that as well is, and I like to say it like this, sort of like, if some people, something doesn't go, is, it's a bad day or whatever it is, it's a bad time in your life right now. Bad, I
Sure.
put that in quotation marks. And someone's going through a challenging moment, and and ultimately, usually, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, you can look back at that, like you said, look back at that incident or circumstance or whatever it is, and potentially laugh at it and go, wow, that was a great thing that happened. So my suggestion to someone is this, is that if you know that potentially in a year, 2 years, you're going to look back and laugh at it, why wait?
Sure.
Do that right away. Do that immediately. And what that's going to do is, one, it's going to be a sense of relief.
Hmm.
And that sense of relief is actually going to be an acceptance, and it's going to be a catalyst for you to actually move forward
Hmm.
rather than waiting, right?
Yep.
So it's absolutely, and the appreciation and the gratitude. I'm glad you mentioned this. It's as mindset, as
Okay.
mindset.
Yep.
And I'm gonna the parallel. It's so underrated by so many people,
Right.
not realizing the power of starting your day with some appreciation and gratitude.
Mm.
The power of starting your day with that, you are actually setting the tone for the day.
Yes.
When we go to gratitude, many times people are grateful, and this is why a lot of times I shifted to appreciation rather than gratitude. Both are wonderful. Gratitude tends to be gratitude for the things that you have already. Appreciation tends to be a little more forward moving, energetically, a little more forward leaning. I appreciate what I have and I appreciate what's coming. You can do it with gratitude as well. Essentially, you can say, I'm grateful for what I have, and I'm grateful for what's actually in the pipeline and coming as well. But the tendency is when we use gratitude, it tends to be for stuff that we already have. Appreciation is like forward moving. And adopting that appreciation and gratitude every single day, first thing in the morning, if possible, you can do it as often as you want throughout the day. The cool thing about doing it first thing in the morning is that it really lends to the momentum of the day. It lends to set the tone for the day and how you're going to move forward. And what I'll tie this in with, and which ties in very nicely with the fact that life isn't happening to you. Life is happening for you. And not only that, you are creating that life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So if you are in appreciation, if you are in the frequency of appreciation, you can only bring towards you people, circumstances, situations that are aligned with that frequency of appreciation. So you start to bump into the right people, the right type of opportunities start to come to you. And the cool thing about this is that you're really not chasing them anymore.
No, you're tracking.
You're not like, it's not this again, and I have to mention this. It's not this hard struggle, suffering, sacrifice path that so many entrepreneurs talk about and individuals talk about. When I hear someone say, you know what, yeah, but life is hard. Like, I get it. It has its stuff in it. Yet, if you believe that life is hard, it's going to be hard.
Sure.
Because you're going to be right.
That's right.
If you believe that life is going to be a struggle, it's going to be a struggle. If you believe that life is a sacrifice, everything's going to be a sacrifice. Even when it comes to a relationship, like people talk about relationships and how relationships potentially, involve a lot of sacrifice and having children and this and that.
Sure.
And I get where they're coming from.
Of course.
Yet, think about this just a bit. Like, would you want anybody, or yourself, especially if, talking to yourself here, do you really want to be in a relationship that's a sacrifice?
Right. No.
Because that ultimately means that at some level, you are giving up something.
That's correct.
To be able to, and no one really wants to be in that type of, at least I do not want to be in that type of relationship.
Right.
It's a whole different ballgame when you're coming from a place of appreciation, a place of love, a place of kindness, of generosity, of truly wanting to be compassionate with someone and coming from that place. So if I'm going to do something for my girlfriend, it's not out of a place of sacrifice.
Sure.
It's out of a place of, I really want to be doing this for her.
Right.
Right. And this is the same thing with life. Like the things that you want to do in your life, you don't do them out of sacrifice. You do them because you truly want to be doing them for whatever reasons there may be.
That's right.
So it's really important and essential to look at these things. And this is where mindset definitely comes in. And it's about awareness.
Well, yeah, and awareness, I oftentimes like to use an analogy of a light switch. It's that light switch that illuminates the room that allows you to see all the furniture in your living room. The light didn't put the furniture there. The furniture was there before you turn on the light switch. It just allows you to see it. And I think that's a really good point. I'm glad you mentioned awareness. Ken, there will be people hearing us and be like, yeah, sure.
I love those people.
No, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's never worked for me, but it's not, I've had bad luck.
I get it.
Hardships, right?
Yeah.
And for those maybe that aren't naturally inclined to sort of think along this path, they need perhaps some assistance, some motivation, some guidance, some steps. What kind of things can they do for themselves to help sort of point in that direction. I think awareness
Sure.
is a good one, right? We started there.
Yeah, well, and in fact, awareness is the first pillar of my ARC method. Is it's awareness, and it's about, and I'll make this really clear. Like, so awareness is about learning. Yet, and this is, I think, which is essential for anybody listening. It's a big part of awareness, in actual fact, is about unlearning.
Hmm.
You see, because whoever is listening, you've been taught certain things
Yeah.
over the
Directly and
course of life.
indirectly, right? Taught
Directly,
and indirectly.
indirectly,
Yes.
all kinds.
Yes.
I mean, as a young child, you were
Yes.
programmed with certain things from your parents, your colleagues, your teachers. There's
Yep.
certain programs going on at a very young age,
Yep.
and you've been taught certain things. Just because you've been taught something doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth.
Correct.
So this is why sometimes it's about unlearning, and it's about actually creating more awareness. Be curious. Go and learn, start to learn. I mean, the amazing thing is this, is that I can almost guarantee you that anybody listening here at some point or another have heard about mindset,
Sure.
have heard about personal development in one way or another. Again, because the way of the world, for the most part, is all about the doing aspect, and you got to be out doing, and you got to be doing that, and you got to be taking this action, and you got to be doing this, and you got to be doing that. Mindset, when you start to learn about mindset, most will actually push it to the side. I like to call it the triple U syndrome, U being the letter U.
Okay.
And the first U, we already mentioned it, is mindset gets underrated, right? Because now, if I'm speaking to an entrepreneur, it's like, oh, Ken, but I have all these things I need to be doing in my business. I have my business plan. I got my budgets to look at. I got all this to do. I got to look at this and that. When I have the chance, I'll start to delve a bit into mindset. So they sort of like push it on the back burner, right? And again, it leads to the second U, which is essentially it's underestimated.
Sure.
It's underestimated. The power of mindset is so underestimated. Like, if you knew for certain that it is your superpower, that it is creating every single result and experience in your life, wouldn't you dedicate the time that it truly deserves to learning and unlearning and relearning new stuff? You probably would, if you truly believed it.
Yeah.
Which, again, because, and I'll let listeners off the hook here. See, because ultimately the underrating, the underestimating, it leads to the fact that you are underutilizing purposefully mindset. And I add purposefully. I add it because whether you like it or not, you are using your mindset.
Yes, you are.
You are thinking.
Yep.
I mean, you have your predominant thoughts. Yet, and like I said, I'll let them off the hook, because the only reason you're underutilizing it purposefully is because your belief in mindset is still not strong enough.
Right.
You still don't have a strong enough belief. So now you're yet if you knew how powerful you were, and that you are actually creating the results and the experiences, and you could choose purposefully the way you think to shift your behaviors, and now create and be in control, or much more in control of results and experiences in your life, wouldn't you want to do it?
Absolutely.
Yet,
the belief, Ken, the belief thing is huge.
Huge.
My 81-year-old mother is a prayer warrior, and there is nothing that you can say to convince her that the prayer doesn't move mountains. And that's because her belief is as strong as it is. And there is never an instance you'll go to her and say, I'm going through this. She goes, oh, I'll pray about it. Don't worry about it. And now she says it so nonchalantly now, because the belief is as strong. So we're talking about belief. It's that powerful.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. And a belief simply is, for those listening as well, might be saying, oh yeah, but my beliefs and that. A belief is simply a thought that you've thought over and over and over and over and over and over until it becomes a belief. Now, the cool thing is that, your thoughts predominantly from one day to another 90% of the thoughts you're having today, you will have again tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of those are just unconscious thoughts. They're the programs that are running your life. So you get out of bed the same way every morning. You don't think about how you're getting out of bed. But if you were to get out of the opposite side of the bed one morning, you'd actually have to think about that to actually do it. You'd actually consciously think about doing it. So when you're going to start to begin to shift beliefs, you're going to have to at the beginning begin to consciously think about, okay, what am I going to do differently today?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
In the past, I automatically self-doubt myself. But wait a second. That's not who I am anymore. Today, I'm putting those self-doubts over here. That's someone else. Today, Ken is the guy that doesn't have to self-doubt himself. Full confidence in myself. And you do that today. You do it again tomorrow. You might find yourself slip back into your default program.
Yep.
But then you do it again tomorrow. And then you do it again until now you've changed those programs. And there are other methods as well, and meditation and guided meditation and all these wonderful tools that we have that are readily available. That's the cool part. People hear about mindset. All the tools are readily available. Like, I am not reinventing the wheel. I might explain a few things and maybe in a way that someone might resonate a little more or not.
Yep.
Yet the tools are there. Like, you can have, I say this all the time. I said, anybody today can have more information available to them in one day than my grandparents could have had available to them in a lifetime. Right? So it's there. The information's there. You just got to make a decision. Like I said, they put it on the back burner. So I don't know about you, Audley, but have you ever bought a book and not read it? And left it there for a little while, or it took a while to get to it. Now we laugh because we've all done it.
Yeah.
Like, right? Yeah. And it's the same thing. All you have to do is, if you want the information from that book, you just need to pull it down off the shelf, open the pages, and start reading. And it's the same thing when it comes to mindset. The information's there.
Gotcha.
It's all available. All you have to do is say, you know what, today I'm going to dedicate 15 minutes to learning something new about mindset.
That's right. And nothing that we're saying here. And there's nothing that we're saying is shocking or surprising that hasn't been. I oftentimes say there's nothing new under the sun anymore, right? It's absolutely not. So yeah, I thank you for making that point. So as far as your ARC method, there was awareness. What does the rest of it?
Okay, so there was awareness, which was
I kind of feel like we may have touched on it, but I'll let you.
No, but there's that. So awareness is we mentioned the first pillar, which is awareness, which is about learning, unlearning. We've mentioned the second pillar, which is adapting, which is about embracing change.
Yep.
The third pillar is alignment, and alignment is about inspiration and about receiving inspiration. And so it's going to be very much about something that I have to tell entrepreneurs right off the bat, and which is one of the biggest challenges for them, is you got to slow down.
Yeah.
Just because you're going fast, another thing that most people have been taught: the faster you go, the more efficient you're going to be, the more you're going to get done, the more you're going to accomplish, the more accomplished you're going to be, the more important you're going to be because you're always busy.
Oh yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but it doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't work that way. There are a lot of people who are really busy doing nothing. So you got to get to slow down. And I want you to slow down so that you can put yourself in a position where you're actually slow enough to receive inspiration. It's all around you. Ideas, solutions are just simply frequencies. You need to learn how to tap into them. And to be able to tap into them, to receive them, you got to be slowing yourself down. You got to get your brain waves to slow down from the beta brain waves to move into the alpha, to move into the theta, and be able. That's why so many great ideas happen while you're taking a shower. Taking a shower, you slowed yourself down. It was a really difficult day, trying to find a solution to something. You actually slowed yourself down without even realizing, and boom, the solution came to you.
Yes.
Well, what if you could learn how to do that on purpose?
That's right. I think
so.
When you sort of shift your focus from the problem and divert your attention is sort of on something else.
Yeah.
Maybe whatever it is. Maybe you have
whatever.
Yeah, it could be anything. You'll find that it will suddenly appear. And the funny thing, Ken, when it appears, it's like it was always there to begin with. right?
And it was
It was always there. So that's
always there. Like even when we look at technology today, right? The the technology has always been there. Someone just needed to tap into that frequency to receive the solution on how to get to, and and this is how consciousness evolves. Consciousness is always expanding. We ask more questions, we receive more answers. And this is why the children coming into the world today, do they really need to be taught how to use a computer or use a smartphone? They don't need to be taught. They know already. They
they can
come
teach
into the
us.
world ready.
They can teach us.
Right? Exactly. And they teach us. And they've come up the consciousness has expanded to the point where some of these youngsters coming in, they've learned some stuff that potentially some of us haven't even learned yet, right? And
Sure.
how to live their lives and how they want to live it with purpose and how they want to live it with all these with love, kindness. There's a lot of and we're going to see more and more of a shift into this.
Love it.
So alignment is all about that, about the inspiration and understanding how to tap into that.
I love it.
The fourth pillar is applying.
Okay.
Now, applying, a lot of people will go to the action. I've already touched upon this. And it's not about the action. It is about action.
Mhm.
Yet what I've discovered over the years is that there is a significant difference between taking action, the person who's always busy doing nothing,
Mhm.
and taking inspired action. And that's what the applying is about. It's actually about taking inspired action, which is connected with the alignment and receiving the inspiration. And when you do receive the solution, receive the idea, you take action on that idea. You take action on that name that popped into your head. And when a name pops into my head nowadays of a friend or whoever it might be, I go, okay, let's give them a call.
Yeah.
Now, it potentially could be nothing. Or more often than not, the person says to me, wow, you called at the exact right time. How does that happen? It's tapping into inspiration and it's taking inspired action. And what's that going to do for you? Why is that so important? It's probably not 99.9% of the time. It's going to save you a ton of time because it's going to be on inspiration. So it's going to be in the right direction that you want to go. You're not phoning up 100 people and getting one person to, I don't know, to potentially do make a sale to. Now you're phoning 5 people and, 3 of them are open to it.
Right.
Saving you a ton, and it's making you more efficient. So that's what the pillar number 4 is all about.
Mhm.
And then pillar number 5, this one's been a real big one for me in my life, without a doubt,
Mhm.
is allowing.
Wow.
Which is all about trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And trusting yourself. We mentioned the self-doubt.
Mhm.
I'd say pretty well every entrepreneur, and I'm mentioning entrepreneurs because that's who I work with mostly.
Sure.
Yet I think every individual as well. And also, let me make something very clear for those of you who might be listening and you might be saying, but I'm not an entrepreneur. Essentially, I truly believe that every single individual is actually an entrepreneur because you're in this business called life.
Yes.
So you actually are. And the trust part, I've met so many entrepreneurs, and I don't think there's an entrepreneur out there that at some point in time did not doubt himself or herself. Right.
Sure.
And didn't trust their instincts, didn't trust themselves, didn't trust potentially some people who were attempting to help them as well and guide them. And yes, we do need to be aware that the person that we are trusting has our best interests at heart.
Yep.
Yet the first thing we got to do is trust ourselves.
Yes.
So that we can also allow others to trust us as well. And for us to be able to trust them. So we need to tap into that.
Yeah, it's a two-way street.
Right? And then trusting as well. Again, you can call it whatever you'd like to call it.
Mhm.
Okay. Trusting the divine, trusting God, trusting Allah, trusting source energy, the field, the quantum field.
Higher power, whatever.
I personally have coined it the umami self.
Okay.
And why do I say that? In the food world, umami is when you eat something that tastes so good, it's indescribable.
Yes.
In fact, the definition of umami is the essence of deliciousness.
Got you.
The umami self is the essence of deliciousness, of who you truly are. And that inside, you call it your soul, your spirit, who you are, that umami self, and you trust that, it is impossible. And you tap into that, and this is where the quiet time, the meditation comes in, and you tap into that, impossible to go wrong.
Yeah.
Everything you want is there already. It's just like you said, you know, the solution was always there. Everything you want, the abundance, the health, the wealth, the relationships, the spiritual, it's all there already. That is the essence of who you are. Yet most individuals, and again, this is how we go through life and we're learning, have put up veils.
Yes. Yep. You're right.
Put up veils because your natural state is that happiness, that joy, that perfection, that love. That's your natural state.
Of course.
But we've put up veils that deny ourselves that natural state because we think we need to accomplish this to be this.
Yep.
But you don't. But you need to have this to be this, but you don't.
Right.
You already are that. You just have to learn how to actually drop those veils.
Yep. And there's some trust there, right? Trust that it'll be okay.
There's a lot of trust there.
It goes right back to that. It goes right.
Yeah,
back to that.
Absolutely. Ken,
I really appreciate you sharing that, Ken. And so one last thing I want to touch on before we go, is that I want maybe for a moment to talk about how important it is to have fun on this journey. The journey
I love it.
The journey of life offers so much, but I truly believe that having fun or injecting fun or incorporating fun into what we do enhances the experience tenfold. So I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
Like I couldn't agree more. Like it's so vital. Like so we said about enjoying the journey, right? Yet I've seen many entrepreneurs lost in what they believe is the end result. They need to get to the end result before they can begin to actually enjoy. Now, the thing is that when you're doing that, if you're looking at the end result here and your journey is here and you're not enjoying that journey, essentially what you actually are doing is pushing this further away.
Sure.
Because you're just not enjoying it. Now, what is even the sense? Well, first of all, you cannot have a joyful result. And let's use fun. You can't have a fun result if you're having an unfun journey and not a happy journey. It doesn't happen. And and this brings us back to the fact that we only have this moment. Like I could get on this podcast and look at it as a chore.
Sure.
Right? Or I can come on the podcast and say, I'm just going to have the most fun I can have and offer a good value and really enjoy what I love doing.
That's right. That's right.
And I think this is key. Also, like if you happen to be in some sort of work or some sort of line of work or I don't know, career that you don't enjoy, I would say start to look. How important is it for you to be happy? There's a I don't know if you've ever watched the movie, The Peaceful Warrior.
No, not familiar with it.
I love this movie. Every so often I'd like to watch. It's full of wisdom. Nick Nolte. It's an older movie. It's a Dan Millman book.
Okay.
The Peaceful Warrior, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. Yet they turned it into a movie. It's a brilliant movie, but there's a really great line in it where, so essentially there's sort of like, let's say a mentor, he's called Socrates, whatever. And there's a young adult, young teenager. And he sort of meets up with him and he sort of starts to mentor him, if you would like to call it. And this, teenager is saying, listen, I live a great life. I have a great life. Like, I'm a grade A student. I'm about to qualify for the Olympics, and then he starts to get a bit cocky and he's like, I only sleep alone when I want to sleep alone and all this, as a teenager. Yep. And he just looks at him. And I'm asking every single person listening to this podcast right now the same question. And he just looks at him and he goes, are you happy?
Good question.
And he just, like, the look on his face then, I mean, it's like, because this is the thing. Like, are you happy? And if you can honestly say, yeah, I am, or, honestly say, I am, like, I really am. Yet there is this area of my life. Now I can honestly look at myself and say, okay, so what could I do about that?
Right.
So if you're in a career or on a path or where, and you look at it and you say, I'm really not happy. Like, I'm really not enjoying myself. Well, the next question is, okay, so what could you do differently? Could you enjoy yourself? Because potentially you're putting meaning on stuff that is creating that unhappiness, if you'd like to, because you could make it happy. Or what could I do differently? Is there something that and this is where a lot of individuals get stuck because they think they can't do anything. This is what I know. This is all I know. Or but opportunities are always there. And you could potentially, because what is the sense? And ties in with the fun. What is the sense of not having fun?
That's exactly it.
Like I tell people, I finished almost all of my videos, most of my videos saying, remember to laugh a lot more, especially when you can laugh at yourself.
Absolutely. Well,
Because people want to be
the reason
perfect,
why I asked
right?
you about fun, Ken. It wasn't by accident, so I want you to know that.
I had a feeling. It's so important. It is so important.
Awesome.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Add some fun to your life every day. I can guarantee you, sometimes I'm working with someone and they're like, and I say, so what is something that you really enjoy and haven't done for a long time? I had a lady I was working with. She says, I used to enjoy playing the bass a bit. I said, how long has it been since you picked up the bass, right? And I understand, like, the lady's building a business. She's got 3 young children, and there's a lot of stuff to do. But she said, it's been a while since I picked up the bass. I said, listen, just find 15 minutes somewhere, not saying every day, but find 15 minutes soon where you can just say, okay, listen, I want 15 minutes on my own where I can just play the bass a bit and tap into that fun, tap into that energy. And why do I want you to do it? Not just for the sake of having the fun, but just like appreciation. If you're tapping into appreciation, you create more stuff to appreciate. You tap into fun, you create more stuff to have fun.
That's it. You nailed it, Ken. You really did. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I'm really glad that you were able to provide that context and fill our listeners in on the fun side of life. So thank you for doing that.
My absolute pleasure.
This has been totally a blast. I had fun. There's no question about that.
Definitely.
Great time. For listeners, I want to connect with you, learn more about the work that you do. Where can we send them?
Okay, where can you send them? I'm going to give them a gift if they want. They can go to growth4entrepreneurs.com.
Okay.
And there they can find out a little more information about myself, yet they can actually sign up for a free online course, which is called the Mindset Choice, the choice that changes everything. And they can sign up there. It's completely free. There's no obligations whatsoever.
I love it.
And they also have the opportunity, the way they set that up, that potentially they can actually engage with me personally, potentially in real time, depending what time they send a message or not, because of time differences. Yet I can promise them, if someone does engage, I will be engaging with them for sure. And they can take it from there. They can also, they can follow me on Instagram at Mindset Malta, Facebook, same thing, Mindset Malta, LinkedIn, Ken Attard. And finally, if they want to send me an email, by all means, ken@mindsetmalta.com.
Thank you. We'll also make sure that all those details are available in the show notes as well. Ken, this has been awesome. I appreciate the time. Thank you for the insights and all the best, my friend.
My absolute pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Back we are here on the podcast, in a conversation with Kenny emphasized that what appears to be lows in life are often not as they seem. By shifting our perspective from why is this happening to me to what is this teaching me, we can transform challenges into catalysts for growth. Believing that everything is working out for us, even when it seems otherwise, is key to navigating life's journey with resilience and optimism. To learn more from Ken or connect with him directly, be sure to check out the contact details in the show notes below. Ken is offering a special introductory session for podcast listeners to explore his ARC method. And again, the contact details are in the show notes to check him out. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Audacious Living Podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episodes, please like, follow, or share with your friends to help us continue to grow and inspire more lives. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audley Stephenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.